Hi, Calaveras County. Morgan here again from the Calaveras Chamber of Commerce. And I am actually in Sacramento right now. We are at the California Office of Emergency Services, and it's such a pleasure because I get to introduce you to Abby Browning. And Abby has been an asset to me since literally I came into role 7 months ago. But her face should be not too new to you because Abby spent quite a bit of time in Calaveras County. So Abby, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and your role with Cal OES, and then also why we may have seen you before?
Well, thank you, Morgan. I appreciate it. First of all, thank you for coming here to Sacramento to have the meeting with me. I apologize I couldn't come to you, but with COVID and with the fires, and as you noticed, we just received our FEMA declaration for the major disaster. So we have several FEMA buses set up here at the state. The generators and their satellites and all that fun stuff that comes with FEMA, and over the next few days, they're going to be rolling in the multitudes to help the Californians that were affected by the disaster. I'm sure Calaveras County remembers that very well, and that's what you were referring to. In 2015, with the Butte fire, I was leading the economic recovery for the state regarding helping the businesses and the business community, and I reached out to the chamber. My personal background is with the California Chamber of Commerce, and so I always hit the chambers first. I know that they have that strong tie to the community, and they go very, very way back. Wherever they are part of that foundation. And so I always go to the chambers, and then I also work, of course, with the local economic development corporations or the economic development, workforce development agencies within the local counties. So anyway, that was a long way of saying that's part of my job. So what I normally do here for the governor's office is I am the chief of the Office of Private Sector NGO Coordination, and I handle all of our relationships that are outside of the normal government specter. So in other words, we have external affairs. They are the initial touch, and then I maintain relationships. I make sure everybody's playing nice in the sandbox. Because as you know, during disasters, things can get a little bit tense and a little bit stressful, and personalities come out and sometimes they clash. The good thing is that everybody always wants the same thing. Everybody always wants what is best for the survivors. How do we help them? And so I'm able to really mediate those kinds of situations. And then when it comes to the recovery situation, those are long, drawn-out processes. As you know, I've continued to come to Calaveras County because economic recovery takes years, if not decades. And so I try to help with any kind of resource that I can find. My largest asset that I bring to the table is I'm a queen when it comes to references. Oh. I can find anything. If it exists, I will find it. I'm one of those people that I thoroughly enjoy researching, and so if the state has a program that might fit something, I will find it, and I will get the information where it needs to go.
I love that. Well, so obviously coming from the California Chamber of Commerce, from your history, you recognize that our main audience that we're talking to right now are the business owners in Calaveras County. And 2020 has been an epic display of, I guess we could say, a sociological experiment of what can happen when every disaster happens. And that's really put you on a platform right now with Cal OES and what services you guys provide. My question to you is, for the business owners, what is it that we should be looking for in the next coming 6 to 12 months? What would really equip us to be resilient to not only the current disasters that we have, but also facing any future disasters?
Well, that's a very good question because, you know, we are starting in fire season. We started with a bang, horribly, and hopefully this will be it, but this is California, we know better. It will continue, and then, of course, the pandemic. It seems to have gotten a little bit easier right now, but we also know that flu season is coming. and that's going to double up all of our problems. And who knows? There are so many other things that could happen. It's just it's another one of those things. It's like, okay, so what can you do? It's difficult for me as someone who's a government worker. I've never been a business owner myself, so I know I don't have what it takes. Business continuity is the number one issue going down the pike. You know, if your business does not get destroyed, hope to God that's the case, you still are going to lose customers for a time period. You know, if your area is evacuated for a week, that's a whole week's worth of wages, worth of customers coming in and out, supplies that you lost, all of those things. And to be able to have money in reserve or have some plan to be able to continue through that is such a huge piece of all of it. I can't tell you the number of businesses that I have tried to help after a disaster just by trying to get them reprieve on their phone bills or their electric bills, just to get through so they can pay their employees, so they can buy new supplies, whatever they need to continue their business and not have to worry about those utilities. I've been working very closely with the Office of Small Business Advocate over at the Governor's Office of Business, and we all know nobody wants to get another loan. I mean, unfortunately, that's all we have. Nobody wants to get another loan, and so we have been tirelessly advocating for grants. We encourage communities. One of the first things I say when I go into a community and I talk to the leadership is, if you have some kind of foundation, some kind of drive to get monetary donations because the spotlight is on you, do it now and save that money for the businesses and save it to give it as grants to help them get through to the end of the month, or rent or any kind of utility help or something like that.
It's interesting because we've had a curve that's quite different than a lot of other places that have experienced the pandemic, speaking specifically to COVID-19 right now, where we had a little bit more of a delay and which is fantastic, but also that impacts all the businesses too, who are ramping up, who are embracing. So if it was a hospital, they were ramping up to be able to handle a large amount of patients coming in that they didn't have. And so now they had like a little bit of a lull there, and they had the experience of having to shorten hours and shorten, staff. And so we're experiencing this kind of unprecedented levels of, bringing people back and then laying them off, and bringing people back and laying them off. And now it's been a big challenge in Calaveras County specifically to finding employees. And finding in a time where we had virtually like the lowest unemployment ever, and now it's a different challenge because of the pandemic, and so it's very, very different. So can you share with us a little bit about what hope that you have and what maybe work the governor's office has been doing towards supporting California in general, but especially like looking at our rural communities? Because I know that you have a heart for rural, and thank you, Rural Matters.
Absolutely.
It does. And so can you share a little bit about what the governor's office is doing?
Yeah, so we're trying to do everything we possibly can. Governor Newsom, small business owner himself. I mean, they're all in blind trust right now because he's elected. But he knows, he gets it. And believe me, he sees all of the emails and the people talking left and right, and you should have done this, you should have done that. I'm very glad to hear the emphasis that you've taken on Calaveras County and how different it is from the different situations, because that is one of the largest issues that I run into, is a comparative nature, to compare yourself to other counties or to other states. I do it myself. I get very defensive when people talk about California having the highest numbers, and I'm like, that's just because our population's so big. I get that way, but every situation is different, and every county, every state requires a different approach in order to make it work for them. And so I'm glad that you guys have recognized that, because not everybody has. That's the one thing. But what we're trying to do on the state level is encourage those local relationships, encourage those local leaders to stand up and tell us, what is it that you need? What is it that you need help with? The local public health, the local chambers of commerce like yourself. As you know, we have a program to provide PPE to some of the businesses, the essential workers, anyone that is eligible to work right now. And so I'm working with the chambers of commerce up and down the state to try to get that supply out because it is allocated for them for the disaster response. And so working very hard to do that. But like I mentioned when I was talking to them, I can't tell you what to do in Calaveras County. I can't tell you what's going to work for you because I've seen what works in Mono County. I've seen what works up in Butte County, but that has nothing to do with what's going to work in Calaveras County. All I can do is give you the tools and the resources and let you all take it from there. And so we kind of taken that model when it comes to all of our business support is, tell us what it is. What can we do? How can we help you? You see what we're facing here, the health issue, and you see the problem. That's one of the first things the governor did during the pandemic was set up his Jobs and Economic Recovery Task Force. I always get that wrong. That has over 100 business representatives from around the state that are not only large businesses like Disney and Apple, but there's a lot of small businesses on there too, individual owners that have 5 employees or less, to tell us, what do we do? We can't make these decisions for you. So it's a long way of saying that we're doing everything that we can to support the local decisions. And so that's all we can do at this time.
What are you hopeful and expectant about over the next 6 to 12 months?
As Americans, I can't speak for anyone else, obviously, but we grew to a spot where we were too busy looking at the larger picture and not seeing what was right in front of us. And now we are forced to see what is right in front of us. We know now what it feels like to have the schools shut down. What kind of a problem does this create? Well, what does it feel like to have your local grocery store run out of something? That's unheard of in the United States, not anymore. Now we know. And so it's just an overall appreciation for what you do have and the blessings that you've been given and the work that every single person does to make the entire engine of the community run. I think that I'm very hopeful that continues throughout after this pandemic is all said and done in the history books.
It's such a breath of fresh air to speak to someone at the government level that has compassion and that speaks with heart. And so thank you on behalf of that to our community in Calaveras. Because you were there before with the Butte Fire, we're a resilient community, and we are continuously going on the mantra of we're Calaveras strong because we've been through a few disasters and we'll probably go through quite a few more together. But you're speaking right now to the sense of community and the sense of humanity for each other, I think is so powerful and important to remember through this. So thank you for sharing that.
No, of course. I love Calaveras County.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Abby. And it was a pleasure and an honor getting to speak with you here. Thank you for having us. And hopefully we don't have to see you for a professional reason in the future. Hopefully it's just for you enjoying Calaveras.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.